Imagine waking up, opening Facebook, and seeing a photo of your own child murdered. And worse, the one who posted it was your husband. The worst thing that can happen to a mother isn't death. It's something far worse, something that destroys her soul and forces her to keep breathing, even when everything inside her wants to stop. And it all started with a notification. I was at work on my lunch break when my phone buzzed. A Facebook alert. Something trivial, something I saw every day. Michael tagged you in a photo. My husband. I frowned. We weren't on good terms. Nothing serious, just phone arguments about how he wanted me to come back home to Dallas from Boston sooner. But I still had a few weeks left on my temporary job contract. He didn't like that. But why would he post something now? An old memory? A picture of us together? I opened the notification. The image loaded slowly, and then my heart stopped. It was our daughter, Sophie, 7 years old, small, full of life. But in that photo, she was wrong, lying on the floor of our bedroom, her little pink dress soaked in blood, a deep cut across her neck, pale skin, her tiny eyes closed forever. And the worst part? Michael tagged me in the photo, as if it were just another memory, as if it were something normal. My breath caught, my vision blurred, the restaurant around me faded away, only that image remained. My baby, my little girl. Her chin was tilted at an unnatural angle, the floor around her stained red. But what sent an icy stab through my chest was the caption, "This is your fault." The table shook as I dropped my phone. My entire body was frozen. The people around me kept talking, laughing, eating, unaware that just a few feet away I was falling apart. With trembling hands, I grabbed my phone and called Michael. Ringing, ringing. No answer. Again, nothing. I opened Messenger and started typing, but my fingers were so stiff I could barely touch the screen. Michael, for the love of God, answer me. What did you do to Sophie? Last seen just now. He was online. He saw it, and then 3 little dots appeared. Michael was typing. My vision was blurred by tears. My trembling fingers clutched the phone as if that could change reality. Michael was typing. The seconds dragged like blades across my skin. What was he going to say? That it was a sick joke? That Sophie was okay? The reply appeared. Now you understand how I feel. My stomach twisted. A bitter taste rose in my throat. I pressed the call button. Nothing. Again. Nothing. I grabbed my bag and ran out of the restaurant, my mind blank except for one thought. Getting to her. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely order an Uber. Minutes later, I was on my way to the airport, my heart hammering against my ribs. But then, another notification, another post. My hand hesitated before opening it. It was a video. I clicked. The screen went black for a moment. Then the image appeared. The floor of our living room. The same one where I had seen Sophie lying in the photo. But now, the camera was shaking as if someone was holding the phone with one hand and doing something with the other. Then he appeared. Michael. His face was dirty, with blood. His eyes, dead, empty. The camera spun. The phone fell to the floor but kept recording. The sound of something heavy being dragged filled the audio. My fingers dug into the phone. Sophie. My voice escaped in a whisper. The camera shifted again, and then I saw her tiny body being pulled like a garbage bag. Her pink dress was nearly black with dried blood. Her small, fragile arms dragged limply across the floor. Michael held her by the ankles. He looked into the camera, into me, and he smiled. The screen went black. I screamed. The Uber driver glanced back, startled, but I didn't care. I just wanted to wake up from this nightmare. Another notification. Michael is live. My lungs refused to pull in air. My fingers slid across the screen, hesitant, terrified, but I had to see. The video loaded. The screen showed our house, the couch, the TV, the rug we picked out together. Everything looked normal, except for one thing. Michael was there, standing in the middle of the living room. The phone shook in his hand. Behind him, a crib, Sophie's crib, empty. He looked straight into the camera, straight at me. You took too long. The stream cut off. And then my screen filled with new notifications. Michael had sent me one last video, played only once. My finger hovered over it. But I already knew. And nothing in the world could have prepared me for what I was about to see. Michael was arrested the next morning. The neighbors had called the police after seeing the live stream. He didn't resist. When the officers broke down the door, he was sitting on the floor, rocking back and forth, mumbling something incoherent. Sophie was there, but it was already too late. The trial was a spectacle. Everyone wanted to understand what could drive a father to kill his own daughter and broadcast it to the world. Psychiatrists said he had bipolar disorder with psychotic episodes. They claimed he didn't know what he was doing, that he was out of his mind, that he wasn't the monster everyone saw. But I knew. I saw his eyes in that live stream. I saw his smile. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. People celebrated the verdict. They said justice had been served. But what about me? How do you serve justice for something like this? My life has been nothing but ruin since that day. I can't sleep without seeing that photo. I can't hear a child laugh without tasting the bitter sting of despair. I don't live, I just exist. The pills numb me, but they don't erase what happened. The guilt eats me alive. If I had come back sooner, if I had noticed the signs, if I had done something, but it doesn't matter anymore. Sophie's fate was sealed that night, and I know what mine will be. Only one question remains. Will I have the courage to do what needs to be done? He sent me a message on Facebook. I'm going to kill you. I thought it was a joke until I realized he knew where I lived. My name is Lucas, and this story isn't from a movie or a creepy Reddit post. This happened to me, and it could happen to you. I worked as a business consultant and had to travel across the country from coast to coast, but it was in Portland that this damn horror story began. It was supposed to be just a simple coffee break. Tuesday, 4:12 p.m. I posted a quick story without thinking much. A cup of latte, perfect foam, a large window overlooking the street. A silly caption, caffeine recharge. 15 minutes later, a new friend request. Weird profile picture. A man in sunglasses, a military jacket, standing in front of a Seattle sign. No mutual friends. Something about him unsettled me, but I accepted out of curiosity. Fatal mistake. The first message landed in my inbox. That cafe window has an amazing view, perfect for watching or aiming from afar. My stomach dropped, a knife emoji at the end. I blocked the account, tried to move on with my day, ignoring the chill running down my spine, but it didn't end there. 3 days later, Chicago, public library. I was studying for an exam. No location tags, but the setting was recognizable. Massive stained glass windows, towering old bookshelves. At 3 a.m., my phone vibrated. A notification. New account. No followers. Chicago's library closes at 10 p.m. Why did you lie? Attached was a photo. My empty chair. The clock on the wall read 2:47 a.m. He was there. This time, I didn't block him. I deleted every social media account I had. But the damage was already done. My entire history was out there for anyone to see. The burger joint in Austin where I ate every Friday, the gym in Miami where I trained, the alley in New York where I helped a homeless man. Every photo, every check-in, every detail from years past, a breadcrumb trail someone had been following. It was in Denver that I realized just how far this had gone. I rented an Airbnb without posting anything, kept the curtains shut, erased my digital footprint. But that night, I heard footsteps in the hallway. Light. Calculated. The kind of steps made by someone who knows exactly where they're going. My phone vibrated. Anonymous email, no subject. Did you switch coffee for tea, Lucas? Yerba mate, 3 sugars. I approve. Attachment, a photo. Shh. My table. My steaming cup. Inside my house. Terror doesn't come with screams. It creeps in, slipping through the cracks of your life, settling into your habits, your routine, until the day you realize there's nowhere left to run. I ran, took a flight to Las Vegas without telling anyone. Cheap motel, flickering cold light like stiff mattress. No posts, no messages. For a moment, I thought maybe I had lost him. But then in the late afternoon, while waiting for a coffee at the motel reception, my phone vibrated. Message from an unknown number. Even rats leave their holes. Attachment, a photo. The Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign. I had never posted that I was there, but months before I had taken a picture at that exact spot. Everything was there, exposed. I was an open book, and he was flipping through the pages one by one. That night was hell. I went back to my room and locked the door with the motel's extra latch, turned on the TV just to have some noise, some sense of normalcy. But the moment the screen lit up, ice filled my veins. The screen was black, and then, without warning, a video started playing. Me, sleeping. The footage was from the night before, shaky, as if filmed on a phone, my body motionless in bed, the dim glow of the bedside lamp casting a soft light on my face. Then, a detail that made me choke on a scream in the corner of the room. A man, standing still, watching. The audio was a distorted whisper, too deep, like someone speaking directly into my skull. You move a lot at night. My phone vibrated again. New message. Don't run. I heard it, the doorknob turning. Someone testing the lock. My lungs felt like stone, refusing to pull in air. I grabbed my bag, jumped out of the bathroom window, crashing onto the pavement, stumbling over the sidewalk, never looking back. I took the first taxi I saw, breathless, voiceless, voice shaking as I shouted at the driver, "Just drive. Anywhere. Just go." I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I burned my SIM card. Deleted everything. Social media, emails, anything that could tie me to a place. I changed cities, changed my name, but I never changed my fear. Weeks later, when I finally thought I had escaped, I opened the door to my new apartment. On the floor, carefully folded, was a note. No signature, just 4 words. Seattle misses you. Now tell me, did you post anything today? If you did, stop. Delete it. Maybe there's still time. If I had known that a single click could sentence me to death, I would have never done it. But that night, that's exactly what happened. My name is Ryan Carter. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, and this story happened about 10 years ago. I was in my senior year of college, and like everyone else at the time, I spent most of my free time on Facebook. It was the peak of the social network. I posted about my life, shared memes, commented on my friends, pictures. It was all harmless. Or so I thought. Until that day. It was a cold November night when I got a message from a friend. "Did you see what happened to Billy and Sarah?" My heart started racing. Billy Payne and Sarah Wallace were a couple I had known since high school. We weren't close, but we had a lot of mutual friends. My first thought was a car accident or something like that. But the reply came fast, like a punch to the gut. They were murdered inside their home, executed. I read those words 3 or 4 times, trying to process them. Billy and Sarah, killed inside their own house? Who would do that? And why? The next day, the details started to emerge, and the more I learned, the more it terrified me. Billy and Sarah were watching TV in their living room when someone kicked in the door. The intruder took nothing. He simply walked in, shot both of them point blank in the head, and then slit Billy's throat, as if to make sure he was really dead. The entire town was in shock. Knoxville was a relatively peaceful city. Murders happened, sure, but not like that. Not with that level of brutality. At first, people speculated it was drug-related, but that didn't make sense. Billy wasn't a dealer, neither was Sarah. They were a young couple with a baby. Who would hate them that much? Then, investigators uncovered the real motive, and when I found out, I wanted to throw up. The brutal murder wasn't about money. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't drugs. Billy and Sarah died because they unfriended someone on Facebook. That was it. A single click, and unfollow, and they were brutally murdered. The idea that Billy and Sarah were killed over something as trivial as an unfollow on Facebook seemed surreal. But the deeper I looked into it, the more disturbing it became. The police caught the killers quickly. Their names were Marvin Potter, a retired ex-military, and his accomplice, Jamie Curd. The motive? Marvin's daughter, Janelle Potter, had been removed from Billy and Sarah's friend list. It was insane. But it got worse. The investigation revealed that Janelle had a history of psychological issues. She believed that people were against her, mocking her behind her back. And when Sarah Wallace and Billy Payne unfriended her on Facebook, she snapped. But the most bizarre part of this story wasn't even the fact that Janelle convinced her own father to commit murder over something so ridiculous. The most terrifying part was how she did it. The police discovered hundreds of emails and messages exchanged between Janelle and her father. The shocking detail, the emails were from a supposed CIA agent. This agent, who signed off as Chris, told Marvin that Billy and Sarah were dangerous, that they were part of a group plotting to kill Janelle, that she was in serious danger. And Marvin, a paranoid and easily manipulated man, believed every word. The messages talked about weapons, conspiracies, surveillance. Chris urged Marvin to protect his daughter at all costs. And Marvin, thinking he was saving Janelle's life, planned and carried out the brutal execution. But when investigators analyzed the emails, they found something horrifying. Chris didn't exist. Digital forensics experts concluded that Janelle herself had created the fake CIA agent. She had manipulated her own father, convincing him to murder an innocent couple using nothing but fabricated messages. The horror I felt when I read about this case was indescribable. Janelle never pulled the trigger, but she was responsible for it all. And now, with clear evidence, both she and her father were sentenced to life in prison. But one question has never left my mind. If Billy and Sarah hadn't unfriended Janelle, would they still be alive? Maybe. But what truly haunts me to this day isn't their brutal murder, it's the chilling reality that the internet gave a sick mind the power to turn paranoia into murder. And it could happen to any of us. He thought the police would never catch him, but a single detail on Facebook put him behind bars. My name is Daniel Carter. I've been a homicide detective in Detroit, Michigan for over 15 years. I've seen it all. Bodies dumped in alleys, crimes of passion spiraling out of control, even cases so brutal they haunt even the most hardened cops. But what happened to Lucy McKenna was different, because her killer almost got away with it. Lucy was only 13 years old when she vanished. Her mother reported that she had gone out to meet a friend and never came back. The next day, a couple walking their dog found her body in an isolated area of a park, stabbed multiple times. The kind of crime scene that burns itself into your memory. The prime suspect surfaced quickly. Stephen Nichols, a 32-year-old unemployed man who rented a room at Lucy's parents' house. He had no criminal record, but something about him felt off. During interrogation, he was cold, indifferent, as if the murder of a girl he personally knew meant nothing to him. But we didn't have enough evidence to charge him, and time was against us. By law, we had 96 hours to find something solid, or we'd have to let him go, and we couldn't afford to make a mistake. If Nichols was the killer and walked free, he'd never make the same mistake twice. Then he made the mistake that sealed his fate. While we were interrogating him, he casually mentioned that Lucy had messaged him on Facebook the night before she disappeared. But when we asked him to show us the conversation, he refused. "No way I'm giving you my Facebook password." Those were his exact words. And that set off every alarm. If he had nothing to hide, why was he so afraid? His excuse? He claimed he was involved with local drug dealers, and exposing his messages could put his life at risk. Bullshit. The guy had no criminal history, no suspicious connections, but his refusal gave us the edge we needed. In the United States, there is a law called RIPA, Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act. It allows the police to arrest someone simply for refusing to provide information in a criminal investigation. So, when the 96 hours were running out and we didn't have enough evidence, we played our trump card. Stephen Nichols wasn't released. He was arrested for obstruction of justice. He thought he would be out in no time, but that decision gave us 14 months to find concrete evidence. And the time we gained led us straight to the truth. Stephen Nichols was in jail, not for Lucy McKenna's murder, but for refusing to give up his Facebook password. He thought he would get out in a few months. But while he rotted in his cell, we dug deeper to prove his guilt. Time was on our side. With Nichols out of the way, he couldn't delete evidence, manipulate witnesses, or get rid of anything that would incriminate him. The strategy worked. One of our technology analysts made a discovery that changed everything. While we were trying to retrieve Nichols's Facebook messages, we noticed something strange. His cell phone showed an unusual movement on the night of the crime. Normally, his phone's GPS followed a simple pattern: home, work when he had a job, and some local bars. But on the night Lucy disappeared, there was an unexpected detour. He passed by an isolated trail near a creek, a place that wasn't part of his usual routine. That was the perfect spot to dispose of evidence. We gathered a team and headed there. The terrain was dense, muddy, and full of dry branches. We searched every inch of it, and it was there, among the twisted roots of a fallen tree, that we found what we needed. Inside a partially burned plastic bag, there was a blood-soaked shirt. A quick analysis confirmed it. The blood was Lucy McKenna's. But what sealed Nichols's fate was the most important detail. The shirt also contained his DNA. He could make up excuses for everything. He could deny the crime, claim he was framed, say they were trying to incriminate him. But DNA doesn't lie. From there, it got a domino effect. We got a warrant to access his Facebook. The messages were deleted, but Facebook's servers still had records. And there it was, the final proof. On the night of the murder, Lucy sent a desperate message to a friend. "I'm scared. He's here. If anything happens to me, it was Stephen." That was enough. When we presented the evidence in court, Nichols knew he was trapped. His cold, calculating expression finally broke. He stared at the screen showing Lucy's message, but couldn't face it. The jury didn't need much time to deliberate. Guilty. Stephen Nichols was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He went from a man who thought he could fool the police to a criminal who would never see the light of day again, and all because of one detail he couldn't erase: his movement on Facebook. If you've survived this far and you're one of those who love fear and real terror, then don't waste any time. I kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any content. The video you're watching on screen is just a taste of what's coming. Watch it. Thank you for being here, and see you next time, if you're capable of handling what's to come.